Welcome to Happy on Purpose with Janess Pearson. Real conversations with the people behind the businesses, the projects, and the good things happening in the Okanagan.
Welcome to Happy on Purpose. I'm your host, Janess Pearson, and today I'm sitting down with Christine Kashuba, the heart behind First Friday Okanagan, a space that's bringing creativity, connection, and local culture back into the spotlight in a really tangible way. What stands out about Christine is that she's not just creating art, she's creating places for people to belong and connect. And in a time when so many people feel disconnected, that kind of work really matters. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I should say you may see this another video with Christine on the YouTube channel because you were one of the first. We were trying to remember if it was the first. I think it might have been Anita Dunford was the first, but you were for sure either first or second. Yeah. So here we go again with even more good information. So Christine, let's start at the beginning. What first pulled you towards the creative world and the kind of work you're doing now?
Well, I grew up in a family where my mom was really creative. Well, actually, both my parents were really creative. And so we were encouraged to notice things. We lived on a farm, and so you noticed, the flowers and the trees and the animals and all that kind of thing, and then tried to translate that into art. So my first memory of actually making art and being rewarded for it was a coloring contest. When I was about 5 or 6.
Awesome.
And so that was kind of, an early memory of making art. And my mom did keep all of my art, or a collection of my art, that I have a portfolio of all of this stuff that goes way back. And on my Instagram page, the portrait on there, or the icon on there, is actually a compilation of a lot of those along with my portrait.
Oh, wow. So this is way back. So tell me, from the age of 6, what was going through your mind? No.
Well, mostly it was just like, oh, this is cool. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Right. And when I was in elementary school, I had some really great teachers who were really encouraging. And even though it was a small country high school, we did clay and we did all different kinds of drawing and tried to reproduce Rembrandt in grade 5 or something. So
what stands out, though, is that you were still interested in it, because there's people, I always talk about my kids and I shouldn't, but my daughter Lexi is the same as what you're describing. My daughter Zoe could not wait to get out of art, to get out of anything creative. She had no interest. She was sporty. So when parents see that whatever interest, it's good to just let them explore it.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's one of the challenges of going to art school, is not losing your love of the art and trying to just fit into a niche somewhere.
And not even perfection, right? Just go for it, I think, in the beginning. Well, was there a moment or turning point that you realized, I want to create something bigger than just my own work? Because you have beautiful art now. I believe this is on your shirt.
Yeah.
So maybe if you want to talk about your art mixed in with then when you decided to do something bigger.
Okay, so I think I have to go back to when I was a teenager. I was really active in 4-H. And that one of the things that 4-H teaches you is how to learn to do by doing. And so there was always encouraged to try new things, and started working with groups from a really young age. Mm-hmm. And so this idea of, motivating people together to do something is not a new one for me, but it's something that's just been part of my life for a really long time. And so taking my art from just me doing art to doing it with other people, that's fun for me. Yeah. And so, whether it's teaching people art, or whether it's joining other artists to, do a show, or whether it's other artists to, open their studios, those kinds of things inspire me. And
it's part of your makeup.
It is.
Yeah. So then how did First Friday Okanagan begin, and what could you share about what you were hoping when you were creating that?
Sure. Well, in 2023, I went and did an artist residency in Texas. And that kind of was the catalyst for the whole First Friday idea, because there it's recognized in lots of places, other places outside of the Okanagan, it's recognized as First Friday as an arts and culture kind of day. And so where I was doing the residency, it was an event, and it was lots of excitement and enthusiasm, and lots of people came and supported artists, and the artists enjoyed it and had the opportunity to meet the public. So when I came back, I was feeling a little bit, I miss that. And so that's really how it started, is I'm going to open my studio once a month, the first Friday of the month, and people can come and visit me in my studio. And it didn't take long before other people said, hey, I'm interested in that. Can I do this too? And so then it's grown, and now there's individual artists that open their studio, and there are things like the Public Art Gallery and the Art Center that also host artists who don't have a studio maybe that they can host people in, but are really interested in sharing their art and what they're doing. So it's all of those things. And First Friday Okanagan is quite a broad umbrella. And the reason we chose that is so that if people in other communities want to do the same First Friday idea, that it's not limited to just Vernon. But in Vernon, we call it the First Friday Art Trail.
Right.
So you're going to find it under both of those names. And the First Friday Art Trail is the idea that you get to explore and you get to go on a little trip around the neighborhood, around the community, and find out where these artists are. And you get to go into their studios. Artists often work in solitude, and you don't often get to see their creative space, where they work and where they develop their ideas and where they make their art. So this is an opportunity for the community to come in and meet the artists, look at their works in progress, things that they've completed, things that they're dreaming about doing. And in Vernon, we're really fortunate. We have some world-class artists.
Okay.
And so I think people just don't really know that those people are here and the caliber of the work that they're producing. So for me, to be able to showcase that through First Friday is really exciting.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I'm actually surprised at the immense amount of talent, period, in Vernon. There's a lot of people doing really cool things. But even on the website, like I think I've clicked through almost every one of the artists on there and just look, there's everything. Pottery, there's prints, there's acrylics, there's the one lady that has, I think I interviewed Isabel Prestowick in her studio. I can't remember her name, but it's just this funky kind of dot stuff, like and to see the way that it's created, like your art. So I'd love for you to explain what your art is, because it's neat.
Okay,
it's neat.
I'll do that. So, and it's interesting how things evolve. I started out as a watercolor artist that did acrylics, mixed media, metal. Then I went back to school as a mature student and decided that I was going to explore the worlds of printmaking and darkroom photography. And so this process came out of darkroom photography as a one-off introduction one afternoon. And it's called a cyanotype. So what it is, it's a process from the 1860s. It was developed then when they were looking for chemicals to produce photography. And it was created by scientists looking to reproduce their notes. And so for the process for us, we might remember, some of us might remember, old house blueprints that were blue and white, and they were done with this process. So a cyanotype, you mix a couple chemicals together, it makes them light sensitive. Then you can paint them on your fabric or on your paper, and you let it dry in a darkroom overnight. The next day you take it out as a sandwich with objects on top of it, or with a transparency, like a negative kind of idea on top of it, or a combination. I've done drawings and paintings on glass. I've done straight botanicals. So you can do any number of things. But when you take it out in the sunshine, another chemical reaction occurs. And so the sun activates the chemicals and turns them blue. And so then when you take it in and wash them, so you wash them to get any extra chemical out so it doesn't keep developing, then you know what you've got. And I love the process because it's always a bit unexpected.
Right.
Like you can't predict everything. You might think you know what's going to happen, but sometimes there's surprises for good or not so good. So also what came out of my residency in Texas was I didn't want to end up with a bunch of artwork for framed artwork for your walls, that then I had to figure out at the end of my residency, what am I going to do with these? Because I didn't want to have to bring them over the border, because there's quite strict regulations about that, or you have to do a bunch of paperwork. And I don't really like doing paperwork.
You're an artist. Paperwork.
So I decided, okay, what other things can I do? So I started making wearable art. So in Texas, a lot of people wear ball caps. And so I started with ball caps, and that's what I did. And each one is set up by itself, just like a piece of artwork for your wall. And so I call it wearable art.
Love
and
it.
So people can, check into that and have a look at what I do.
I think your art was in the Village Green Mall recently too, because now once I've seen your art, I'm like, there's Christine's work, because there's nothing else like it.
Yeah, it's really unique. And I had no idea when I started with this that I was going to progress this far with it. So when I started, I wanted to talk about the pine beetle and the denim wood that the pine tree produced. And so that's where I started. I went out to Tolko, did a photo shoot at the log yard, did some photos, produced some giant negatives, and then produced artwork from that. And then I just kept experimenting. So the question is, I wonder what would happen if. And so then, okay, what would happen if I do this, or what would happen if I do that? And so then just explore down the pathway. And so, yeah, so that's what I've done. And now it's like 10, 12 years later.
Yeah.
And now my work is more, maybe more complex, more layers to it, or more well designed, but it's still that basic blue and white. And yeah, I really love the process. And it's a process that kids can do too. So it's not limited to just adults doing it. And you don't have to be able to draw to do it.
I was going to say, yeah.
So you can just find beautiful things. You can find plants, or you can find, objects, and you can just make a design using that. So you don't have to have those drawing or painting skills that sometimes put people off art.
Yeah, for sure. Like even on your shirt, I see a butterfly, I see some little flowers, I see some like vines, and that all goes on that next, like the second layer. So it's the chemical. What color is it when it first comes out?
So when I mix the chemicals and I paint them on paper or fabric, it's lime green.
Okay.
So when you put it out in the sun, you can watch it change from that lime green to kind of a gray blue tan.
Okay.
And then it's ready to be washed, right? And people say, how long does it take? Well, on a bright sunny day, it does not take very long, a couple of minutes.
Oh, okay.
But in the spring or fall, if it's out, and it might take 20 minutes. Or if you do something that's called a wet cyanotype, it might take 4 hours.
Okay.
So it just depends a lot on the light.
Yeah. So then, but you can see it happening. So that's where your artist eye, you decide what color or the depth of the color, or do you just kind of wing it?
You can kind of predict it. And I do have a light meter that I use sometimes,
Okay.
but just to help me on those cloudy days, or the days where it's not quite so dramatic, doesn't change so dramatically, and just to kind of help to figure out, because the longer it's exposed, the deeper the color.
Right.
But if you expose it too long, the light sneaks around the objects and you lose some of your image.
Oh, the crispness of it, because it would blur the outside lines.
Yeah, it
maybe.
just disappears, especially if it's a plant and it's up a little bit off the paper or fabric, then the light sneaks around the edges and you end up with a very faint image instead of something you can determine what it is.
What it is,
Yeah.
so you know what it is.
Yeah.
What do you love most about the work you're doing now, and how does it make a difference for people? What would be good to sort of wrap around? I love the idea that this is art that people that don't feel artsy could still do.
Yes.
And they could go to your studio and see it, see what happens, all the rest.
Yeah, and I do workshops and I do teach classes at the Vernon Community Arts Center. So, and I've done fun things like I did a birthday party for a group of 13-year-old girls, and I've done things for the newcomers group here in Vernon. I'm teaching teachers at a Pro D day coming up.
Okay.
And so those kind of are my sweet spots, helping other people to discover it and to make something that they enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think that's, really art is very subjective. It's what you like. And generally most people like this blue and white imagery because it's a Prussian blue. So it's a really pretty blue. When I was a kid, I think Laurentian crayons used to call it peacock blue or something.
Okay. Not sky blue.
No.
Peacock blue.
Yeah.
Though it is very pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it looks good on most people. I love that you said it's wearable art. I'm like, I need one of those shirts. I need a t-shirt.
Yeah, and I've got golf visors and hats and all
Yeah.
kinds of things I've branched out into.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Is it harder to do it on a hat? Like it's not
It
a
is.
flat surface. That's because when you said you lay it out, you paint it, you do the things, you layer it, I would think that's a higher level of your skill.
Yeah, when I first started doing hats, I actually pinned all the plants in place or the objects in place. And that was tricky because you didn't want to see the pins.
Right.
And sometimes the flowers or whatever would just disintegrate when you put a pin through them, right? So I've morphed into some other methods of doing that, but it does. It takes us longer to set up a hat than it does to set up a flat piece.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you find that all of the artists that are, I'm throwing this question in because it came into my head, but pardon me, everybody that's involved, do you find they all have evolved their art over time as well? Like, I know we hear about that, but some people stick with one thing and they kind of just go, that's going to be my niche. Is there people that started in one and kind of morphed?
Yeah, I think, and
like
I think
you started with oils, I think you said.
No, watercolors.
Oh, watercolor, pardon me.
Yeah, I've tried oils, but I am not an oil painter. I'm not patient enough for oils. So I started with watercolor. So I would say that every artist, no matter who they are, their work will evolve over time.
Okay.
And so this is my thing that I always tell people. If you love something an artist is doing and you can afford it, or you are, really want it, you should get it, because you never know what the next thing is they're going to be doing. And it might not be the same. Like, it might be similar, but it might not be the same as what that was. And so I think, yes, all the artists have evolved. And I mean, some of the artists on the art trail are well-known artists. They go and they judge competitions in other places. I think of Deborah Wilson, and she's a jade and stone carver, and she does beautiful work, and she's well-known for her work in other places.
And we can go to her studio and check her out.
Yeah, and she does teach workshops too. So if you want to learn how to carve stone or jade, you could talk to her about that.
Yeah, wow. Because that's what I keep feeling like I want to repeat that. Even if you try art and the first time is not your best work, but you love it and there's elements of that outcome, just keep refining it. Is that why, like, things like Picasso and, like, I'm not even really well versed on artists, but why they get more, maybe they're more expensive, their first ones, because they're very different? Like, how is art sort of?
Yeah, I'll relate a story from a visit I did to the Vancouver Art Gallery. Okay. And they had the Group of Seven, which is our famous Canadian artists, and they had a show with a lot of their work in it. And I wandered around and I looked at it and I went, for each artist represented there were maybe 3 or 4 pieces that I recognized as their work. And then there was all this other stuff that I had no idea they'd ever done. And so I think that's really true for most artists, that we've all experimented with a variety of things. And then we kind of come to something that kind of settles and feels like our own. And so then within that, even there's changes. I think of Heidi Thompson. Heidi Thompson does beautiful color field work. And so even with that, it's changed over time too. And so it's just so interesting. And so I invite the public to come on a First Friday to an artist studio, pick 1 or 2 or all of them, because you can make a full day of it if you chose to, and just see what artists are doing. And
have that conversation. Where else do you get to have intimate conversations? If you were in Vancouver, you'd be fighting 40, 50 people. Right here in Vernon, like, there might be 10 people in there. It's such a great opportunity.
Well, and not only that, but you have the opportunity to ask your questions.
Right.
And just to engage in a conversation.
To actually be curious and have that curiosity.
And the other thing about that is, if you're not an artist, you should really visit an artist studio, because artists need people who are not artists to come look at their work and to support them and to purchase their work, because that's how artists, that's their job.
Right. So it's not even just having an interest in doing art. It's seeing we love to have things on our walls and to have some local, really well-known, and have the story of, which people love, I met this, this artist, I met this person, and when I saw this picture, I had to have it. So there's a good story behind it, even for the people that just appreciate art or like to see art. Yeah, great point. I love that. There's a lot that goes into building something like this behind the scenes. What has been one of the more challenging parts of bringing this to life?
So for me, because I'm an artist, I'm a creative thinker. I'm not, I can do math. I'm pretty good at math. I don't enjoy some of the administrative stuff, though, right? And it's, each month there's different artists, and some of them have different opening times and closing times. And so it changes every month. So it's not just a formula of, okay, we'll plunk this in and that's how it goes. Each month there's new things and different things to include or take out depending on what's happening. And so that, I think, is the most challenging part for me, is not just managing my own self, but managing other people. And I do have some skills there, but I still find that challenging.
Right. As it always is when you work for yourself or trying to do something creative, right?
Mm-hmm.
When things start to feel harder, uncertain, what helps you personally to stay connected to your why and why you started?
Just to remember that it's something that's going to be special for the people that do engage, and it's a way to bring awareness of the artists in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's, artists often work in isolation, or their work carefully kind of bubbles along under the surface. Sometimes it gets really political. And so this is a different approach. It's come, check it out. It's to raise the awareness of arts and culture in the community in a very ground roots kind of way. Just, no strings attached, just come check it out.
Just come check it out. So I'm curious what you've noticed in yourself through this process. I mean, even just the process of your art, but even larger through setting up the Okanagan First Friday Art Trail.
I think the thing that I've learned is to be a little bit more disciplined and to be stretched. And sometimes that's easy and sometimes that's hard. And so to, just be just a voice for the artists in the community and try to bring that awareness of who we are and what we do and how much we'd love for you to come visit us.
Yeah. I think, though, I feel sort of an undercurrent of all of it is you are a woman of service. I mean, even being in 4-H when you were younger, I get the sense that you are just a very well-connected, community-oriented connector. Mm-hmm. And that probably fuels some of that, too. Because if you didn't like it, it would be really hard to be stretched.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're listening to Happy on Purpose. For those of you that are just tuning in, my guest today is Christine Kashuba. She's a local artist and also one of the founders? Mm-hmm. The founder? Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, she's the founder of First Friday Art Trail, which is under the umbrella of Okanagan, First Friday Okanagan. So you can look up all of those things. What a great conversation. So there's been something really powerful about bringing people together in real life right now. I think after COVID, we're all just sort of craving that. What have you been witnessing in the community through these events?
Well, I've witnessed a connection, right? Yeah. Connection between people, connection between artists. Even the artists on the trail know each other better. Right. And we understand what the kind of work is that each other are doing, whether you're a glass artist or you're a painter or you're a potter or you're a carver or whatever you are. Mm-hmm. Just to know the other artists in the community and what they do. There's encaustic artist, right? So
what is that?
It's a wax, painting with wax.
Yeah. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, and so for people to know, and Sue works with stained glass, and she's done that for a long time, and she's now teaching at cideries and things like that. So you can connect with them in their home studio and see the variety of their work, or you can connect with them in specific locations and just see a little bit. So,
right. Yeah. So is if they were to do the First Friday Art Trail, at each of the studios, there's probably something that would say what they're doing, where their classes are, where they can connect with the artists.
Yeah, or they could just ask the artists and they'll be happy to tell them those things. Right. And as artists, we don't often get to talk about our work one-on-one with people or one-on small group with people. Yeah. And so it's really nice to have that opportunity too, where you can just have a conversation about, what people like and how they found you and where else they've been and where they're going, right? Because being a trail, you follow the trail. And the whole idea of it being an art trail came about because Greater Vernon is wanting to be known as the art trail capital.
Oh, wow.
And so that is, or not the art trail capital, but the trail capital. And so Art Trail funneled into that. So there's not just sports trails or walking trails or biking trails. There's also art trails.
Yeah.
And so that is how that all tied in.
I didn't. Yeah. I think I remember that from our first interview, but that makes perfect sense. I mean, if we're going to be the trail capital, we might as well all the trails.
Yeah. And there's something for everyone, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. On a more personal note, what does a good life look like for you these days outside of your work? This is the woman behind the art question.
Well, having time in my studio is one of the things, but also just having time, spending time with family. My husband and I are lawn bowlers, so lawn bowling and gardening and being outside, and then hanging out with our grandkids and being involved in their lives and watching the things that they do and accomplish. Those are all the fun things that I like to do.
The good life.
Yeah.
Again, connection, right?
Mhm.
Connection, family, the simple things.
Mhm.
I haven't had one guest yet say, it's because I'm making so much money, I'm buying all these wonderful things that I want. It usually is connection of some sort that brings people that good life feeling, which is amazing. Not that there's anything wrong with money. I think you can have all that money in the world if you don't have that, connection with your people. And I like that even the artists are getting to know each other because, like you said in the beginning, it can be very isolating. It's like that with counselors and therapists or anybody that sort of works independently. So just a way to have an outlet with people that get you, right? Yeah. So I saw you grab.
Yeah,
so
my
you need
phone's
to know.
Yep.
What is a quote, song, poem, or line from a book that you come back to, something that helps you reset or feel like yourself again, and why? I'm going to throw in.
Okay, so art is it is imagination at play in the field of time. And it's a quote by Julia Cameron, who wrote a book, it's called The Artist's Way.
Okay.
And so I just love the idea of art being just playful.
Yeah.
And that it's not, art is not just about producing a final product. It's also a joyful, explorative process. So, in a field of time is just wherever we find ourselves for however long we want to explore it. And it also encourages artists to approach their work with a sense of freedom and lack of judgment.
Lack of judgment.
Just think about kids at play.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's my quote that I go back to, just that playfulness to help reset and just to enjoy the process and to explore what's going to come next. A lot of people asked, about me adding color into my cyanotypes, and you can do that in a couple of ways. You can do them on colorful backgrounds, or you can, draw or paint back into them. But for me, the joy of the pure blue and white is still the driving force. I just really love that.
It's kind of your signature now, though. Like I said, I can identify your work, whereas a lot of other people that do florals and things, I just don't have enough of an eye for art. Probably if I, got to know it or whatever. But yours is just, yep, I know that artist.
Yeah, it's pretty unique, and and I like exploring those kind of things that are a little bit out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And so that definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah, especially as a bit of a flashback. Most of our listeners tend to be, sort of 45, 50 plus. We all know the blueprints.
Yeah.
We all know the
house
blueprints. And for you younger folks that are listening, you got to ask your parents. Ask them what it is. When you said that about playfulness, I talk a lot about having childlike wonder. And I was asked what the difference between being childish and being childlike. And for me, they're not even on the same scale. Being childish can look goofy and, not genuine or not professional. But childlike wonder and awe just brings so much imagination and expansiveness. I am with you on that.
So if people have kids or grandkids and they want to try this process, a really simple way to do that is a Teach and Learn here in Vernon. They have solar papers. They're little 5x7 papers that have been treated with a little bit of the chemical, just enough to make them work. And so you can try it. And it's simple. You don't have to mix chemicals and you don't have to prepare the paper. It's already prepared. So you just have to add the objects or the whatever botanicals on top and put them in the sun, and it'll change. In that case, they've made it so it changes from a blue to almost white, so you can tell when it's done.
Okay.
And so then it makes it quite simple for people to be able to experiment a little bit. And if you want more, then there's lots of ways you can get the chemicals and take a workshop, take a class, or ask me, and I'll provide you with the information that you need to do that. And you can get those chemicals and some prepared fabrics at Opus in Kelowna. So it's not far away.
Right.
So yeah.
When we have family get-togethers like turkey dinners or whatever, I love to do an activity. So I'm making a pin in my mind because we painted rocks, we've made dream catchers. I like that. I like it. Is that where at Teach and Learn?
Teach and Learn, yeah.
Teach and Learn.
Yeah.
When you look ahead, what feels most meaningful to keep building or protecting in your life and your work?
Well, I think going back to kind of like what the purpose was in creating a First Friday event. And really, First Friday is built on a simple but powerful idea. Just on the first Friday of the month, artists open their studio doors and invite you in. It's that simple. At its heart, First Friday is about connection. And so I think just when I look ahead, just seeing how we can continue to increase the connection between artists, the connection between artists and the community, the awareness that people might have about the different kinds of art in the community. And yeah, that it'll continue to grow and develop and kind of organically, because each artist gets to set what hours they're open. They get to set, the things that they want to showcase when you come. And so that's part of the fun of it, is each artist has that individual stamp on it too.
Right. Yeah. So when you say welcoming other communities to come on board, how far of a reach do you want that?
Well, I just imagine, ideally, I would love to have First Fridays everywhere.
Yeah.
But I would say just in the Okanagan, it would be great to have I don't know, you could call it a satellite or
Sure.
a hub or whatever, whether that's, Lake Country, Enderby, Armstrong, like wherever.
Wherever.
Yeah, Lumbee. It's just a matter of having a core group of a couple of people to organize it. And it's not, I don't hold it closely. I'm happy to share information.
Mm-hmm.
And so if people are interested and they want to do that, they can get in touch with me, and I'm happy to give them the information about kind of what it's all about and how I've set it up.
Yeah. And support them to get it going, and then until they can get up and running on their own. That's awesome. So if someone's listening and they feel a pull to create something new in their own community, even if it's not, connected with the art trail, but they're hesitant, what would you want them to know?
Well, I remember what one of my art instructors said he was at an exhibition, and people were saying, well, how did you get to be so well known? And he says, I just kept making art. And so I think sometimes we get caught up in the trying to do something dramatic instead of just focusing on doing what comes naturally and what we're interested in. So these are the things. Get together with like-minded people.
Yes.
Take simple steps. Be courageous. You don't have to know it all to start with. Just take the first step. That's what I tell people. Just take the first step and see where it leads. And, if it doesn't work, well, then you know that you've tried it and you've learned something, and you can go on to do something else and take the skills you learned and go somewhere else and do something else. Or you can just continue to refine what you've done and to expand it and to learn from it. And I think every organization or group needs to do that. They need to continue to develop, because otherwise you'll die. Yeah. So don't die. Be creative.
Don't die. keep your dreams alive.
Yeah. Be creative and don't be afraid to take those steps.
Even if it looks like failure in the beginning, like I'm sort of reflecting back on my process and listening to what you're saying, and it's true. You just start with one thing, and if somebody supports it, awesome. Then just do it again with just and ace that, and then add a little something else to it. We don't have to have the whole Picasso or the whole program or the whole dream or the book or the whatever it is. It's just those next right steps. I think with the culture the way it is, sometimes we see the polish, the highlight reels, as they say.
Yep.
I think the messy beginnings are so inspiring in the people that stick with it long enough, that there can be a layering effect. And then all of a sudden, a year later, you're doing something really magical.
Yeah. And I think that, with the amount of AI assistance we're getting these days, people want to see the real thing.
Yes.
And so I love the acronym IRL, in real life.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what happens. In real life, when you come to an artist studio, you see them in real life. You see what they're making. It's not something making it for them, or somebody, behind the scenes transcribing it or creating it. It's the artist, the touch of the artist. You're going to find the touch of the artist,
Yes.
and you're going to see that, and you'll be able to engage with the artist and to find out how they do it and why they do it.
And why they do it, yeah. And just to get started. Well, that is awesome. We're going to just wrap up now, unless there's any final things, anything you feel. We'll go over your how to find you and all that good stuff. But what's any last words?
Just remember, First Friday, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
And that is literally the first Friday of the month.
Yes.
Is the art trail.
Yes, it is.
That's what it is. Christine, thank you so much again for being here and trusting me once again. There's something really meaningful about what you're doing, creating spaces where people can gather, feel inspired, and reconnect with each other. I think it seems so simple on the surface, but it really does have that ripple effect of, the fingers getting out into the community and finding the right people. And for the listeners, if you're curious about First Friday Okanagan or First Friday Art Trail, or you even want to experience it for yourself, which I would strongly suggest, and we're coming up to summer, so all those Albertans and family are coming to visit. It's such a unique thing that you could do and go out for a lunch or something. So you can find more at firstfridayokanagan.com, or if you want to learn more about Christine and her work specifically, it's ChristeneKashuba.com, and that is Christine, Kashuba, KASHUBA.com. And as always, what we take in each day matters. So choose something that helps you grow. This is Janesse Pearson, and you've been listening to Happy on Purpose. Thanks, Christine.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been a joy to be here.
Thanks for being here. You can find more Happy on Purpose conversations on YouTube.